What's good, Wizards fans? This is your host, the Roy Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. The Washington Wizards lose to the Pelicans 142 to 122. The Wizards are now 3-20 on the season. We're talking about Bilal Coulibaly's another good performance by Bilal Coulibaly. And of course, we will talk about the news this morning about moving to Virginia. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, all right, once again, the Wizards lost 142 to 122. So, Brandon, where did it go wrong? They had a hot start to start off, but where did it go wrong? And what did you see from Bilal Coulibaly tonight?
Oh, good question, man. Where did it go wrong? Rebounding. Because if you look at their stats, perimeter-wise, we're about even. They shot 47%. We shot 43% from three-point line. So the stat lines is very similar with the Pelicans, but rebounding is where we lost. They out-rebounded us 56 to 39, including 10 offensive rebounds. So, again, it continues to be an issue. Points in the paint, 54 to 38. So, again, defending the paint and getting rebounds, allowing the other team to extend possessions continues to be an issue. If you look at individual performances, Valanciunas, the well-known Wizards killer, dropped 18 rebounds, or he collected 18 rebounds, man. So it kind of mirrors Mark Williams with his 20-plus rebound night. But so, yeah, that's the tale of the tape. Again, we are a really, really abysmal and bad rebounding team. Gaff just was overmatched. Valanciunas out-muscled, man, and just we continue to say that about Gaff, where when he goes against legitimate NBA centers, he struggles. He gets out-muscled. And Valanciunas, he's a guy who's got some strength, but he can also stretch the floor. So, yeah, rebounding was abysmal, and it led to them getting extended possessions and getting a lot more shots, a lot more open looks out of the paint. But look at that Bilal. Man, oh, man, Bilal, I'm trying to tell you, man. I feel like I say this every game. Bilal is going to be special, and I'm pulling up his stat line now. But his defense, his offense, I mean, he's not, everything. I love the whole package about Bilal Coulibaly. But looking at his stat line, he played 31 minutes. He scoring 16 points, 5 rebounds, shooting 6 for 9 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3-point range. 1 steal, 1 block. I mean, he's not hesitant to take that shot, and he's hitting at a high clip. Now, he did hit an air ball, but I'm not even mad at him because, 4 for 6 from 3, man. He continues to impress me offensively. Defensively, he is a monster. He's a dog in the defensive end. He continues to look really, really good. Looking at this starting five, Tyus Jones, very underwhelming, 6 points, 26 minutes. Jordan Poole again struggled, 11 points, shooting 5 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 5 turnovers. He did get a block and 2 steals, but overall, very underwhelming. Danny tonight, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. So a very, very, very solid stat line from him, shooting 4 for 8 from the field. And Kuzma led the way tonight, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 10 for 19, including 4 from 8 from 3. So Kuzma did his thing like he always does. He's a guy that you can depend on him 20-plus points tonight, man. I mean, he's that scorer for us. And he looked good. I believe he had 20. Most of his points were in the first half, I believe. So he was rocking in the first half. Non-existent in the second. And then Gav, 13.6 rebounds, but 2 blocks, 1 steal. But to me, he's just, I feel like I say this all the time, he's a backup, man. He struggled against Valanciunas. Valanciunas is just so much stronger, man. So getting back to Bilal, am I ready to say he's a face? Not yet, man, but he is getting there. This kid is definitely part of the foundation. He is a bright spot for the future of this team, because there's a lot of new things happening in the future for this team that we're going to talk about in a little bit, man. But Bilal, he continues to impress me. His offensive side is coming along a lot faster than I thought it was. When he got drafted, we both knew he was going to be a project. Somebody's going to have to be developed, but he is catching on fast. I mean, you see improvement on his offensive side fast, man. You don't see any hesitancy. He's driving the lane. So obviously he needs to tinker with a few things. He's a young guy, but wow. In my opinion, he's a future star in his league, and it shows game after game. He consistently has a big impact on every game, regardless of the scoreline. You see the effort from him, you see the progress, and I'm very, very excited to see what he can do in the future.
Yeah, Bilal's playing really well. He shot the ball well from the 3-point line. Ended up with 16 points off the bench, 6 for 9 from the field, 4 for 6 from the 3-point line, 5 boards, jack of all trades. Was able to get to the basket well, finish the transition. He's been super consistent, man. He comes out, plays hard, two-way guy, plays tough defensively as well.
Yeah,
gives maximum effort every night, and you see him improving every night. So I really love that from him. Had a block and a steal, 1 assist, 5 boards. So I love the way that he's playing, even under the circumstances of them getting blown out every night. He looks like he's out there trying to improve his game and get better each game. As far as the Wizards. You brought it up rebounding. They got out-rebounded. Jonas Valanciunas had 18 boards. Yeah, he had 15 defensive rebounds, 3 offensive boards, ended up with 18 boards, 16 points. On FanDuel, I did take a double-double and win for Jonas Valanciunas. It was minus 118. So we say this every game. If you're betting on FanDuel, bet on the opposing center to get a double-double against Daniel Gafford or Muscala or whoever, just the whole Wizards team. They're going to get a double-double. Brandon Ingram putting up 40 points. They announced Zion was out in the middle of the day. I want to say around like 4 or 5 o'clock. They announced Zion was out. I personally thought Zion was going to play, but of course, you just never know with these guys, especially in today's world in the NBA. That made Brandon Ingram have to step up. Trey Murphy had to step up with guys out with Zion being out. Trey Murphy had 27 off the bench. He was a plus 43. He was 6 for 7 from the 3-point line, which is insane. And part of that is on coaching. If a guy is really that hot, you just can't keep letting him shoot from the 3. 6 for 7 is almost like a practice. Like he's just shooting practice threes, like an all-star or a 3-point contest out there. Najee Marshall, 2 for 5 from the 3. CJ McCollum, 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. Alvarado, 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. So the 3-point defense was terrible. Just defense as a whole, defense in general was terrible. Brandon Ingram got anywhere he wanted to on the floor. He has some easy looks, easy jumpers. So the defense is always, like Kuzma said, they can't guard a stop sign. Kuzma, 27 points, 10 for 19, 4 for 8 from the field. Denny had some good moments. I thought he had some good pass. He had a behind-the-back pass to Corey Kispert for 3. That was nice. Gafford with 13 points. Of course, he'll score around the rim, but he just has to find ways to bring some physicality to the game and make it tougher on other bigs than what it is right now. Jordan Poole, once again, just another inconsistent game. 5 for 12 in the field. He had some good moments, and then he had airball 3. He'll make 1 3 and then airball 1. So he just had a roller coaster game like he's had for the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. Jordan Poole overall has just been very, very, very underwhelming, and that is probably the most positive way I could say, positive word I could say about his performance so far this season, man. It's just very underwhelming, and I think that we said it in the past, man. I think that the jig is up as far as the secret's out on how to play against Jordan Poole. How much did that lineup in Golden State really shield a lot of and then his game, because he's a young guy who can definitely play in this league, man. But with him, it's just the shenanigans, right? I mean, he got away with a lot in Golden State because he had that shield. Clay, Stephen, and then Draymond, which I don't know. Yeah, I know, right? Draymond ain't gonna be playing for a while, but. Yeah, man. So it's hard to see, man, because he's a young guy. He's a young talent, man. He's been very underwhelming, and we're in a pickle. The Wizards are really in a pickle right now, man, because it behooves us and it behooves him equally to get his value up, because if he continues to play like this, it's looking more and more like a bad contract. And it's crazy because like 21 games ago, we were talking about how he might be the face of the team, and then that quick. We're talking about what trade packages to send him out of town, man. So that just shows you how quick, man. But yeah, Jordan Poole, I'm hoping he picks up some momentum, man, and figures it out. I really do, because he can play. It's just, I don't know what the factor is. I have my opinion of it, but I just think that he was shielded a lot in Golden State, and now that he has to take a bigger role, he struggled. So to me, going forward, I think that he's a 6th man. He's a guy who can run the second unit, but he hasn't shown me enough this year, man, to show me that, could he lead the team at point guard? I don't know. The turnovers are an issue. Game after game, we see these mind-numbing turnovers. So I don't know, man. I don't know what his fit is going forward, but I think it behooves the organization and himself to get that value up and figure out what he can do in DC.
100%. Yeah, I see him most likely being traded before February or in the off season. I think one of the two is coming up for sure, and there's going to be a lot of roster turnover. Just like there's going to be some changes here with the command with the not the Commanders, but the Commanders are going to get a lot of change later on. But the Wizards,
yeah,
as far as making some moves across town, so we're going to get into that. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Also, make sure you guys check out Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today and on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, so Ted Leonsis had a press conference announcing the move to Virginia, and of course he was very excited, very jolly, very happy about that. There are some other guys on there talking during the press conference as well, but Ted tweeted out himself at 3:43 p.m. today. He said, "This morning, Monumental Sports, along with the Commonwealth of Virginia, the city of Alexandria, and JBG Smith announced the framework of an agreement to create a world-class entertainment district at Potomac Yard, anchored by an industry-leading arena for both the Washington Wizards and the Capitals." It also says, "We are committed to providing a world-class fan experience while continuously evolving our teams, deepening community ties, and solidifying our role as leaders at the forefront of sports and technology." He also says the opportunity to expand to this 70-acre site in Virginia next to industry-leading innovators and a great academic partner would enable us to further our creativity and achieve next-generation leading work, all while keeping fans in the community at the forefront of everything we do. So what are your thoughts on that and some of the things he said at the press conference? But what are your thoughts, of course, the move to Alexandria? Looks looking like it's certainly going to happen for sure. They said the plans are for 2028. So what are your thoughts?
He can say whatever he wants, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know why he made the move. Let's look at several different perspectives, man. From a business perspective, I get it. I think it's definitely a good business move for Monumental Sports Network. It is a really good business move. I mean, there's a lot of money in the Commonwealth of Virginia, especially Northern Virginia. It's a really good business move. I have no problem with that side of it. But who's really the blame? Ted Leonsis gets half the blame, obviously. I mean, the taxpayers in DC paid for that practice facility where the Go-Go and the Mystics play. So who's on the hook for that? I think that is really, really a black eye on the community in DC because taxpayers had to pay for that and then return around and go to Virginia. Is DC to blame a little bit? Yeah. I mean, could they have put more money into the surrounding area? Absolutely. I mean, it's here's the thing, there's many people to blame, but there's only, the people at DC are the ones who are going to get hurt in the end. Because this is, I mean, what is it? It is projected that DC City Council is going to lose $25 million because of taxes, man, just by the move to Virginia. So, like I said, from a business standpoint, outstanding decision business-wise. I mean, if I was in this position, I would have made the same move because there's money in Virginia. And with the shopping and everything else that's going to come along with the facilities, there's a lot of money that's going to be had in Northern Virginia. Absolutely. But looking at other factors, man, I think, this is really bad situation. I think that, it's a done deal to a certain degree but then if you look at the fact that these cats got diagrams and everything, we just heard about it a few days ago, and then now they got diagrams, movies, and all that. So they've been planning this for a while, man. You know what I mean? Like they got the whole sketch artist and everything. So they've been planning this for a minute. But I mean, it's on Ted because is he being a little greedy? Absolutely. But I mean, he's a team owner, man. I mean, he's going to do what he has to do to make the most money he can. He's a business owner. So the whole point of owning a business is making money from it. So from a business standpoint, I don't have a problem with it. I get it from a business standpoint. He's doing what he has to do for generational wealth. I have no problem with that. But as far as the people who really lose, it's the population of Washington, D.C. They lose, man, because again, they footed the bill for the practice facility. They show up, they go to games, regardless of how good the team is. They show support, and a lot. Things should have been done a long time ago about what's going on in the surrounding area, Chinatown, and around Capital One. Something should have been done a long time ago, and then you wait till now. And I ain't gonna name drop nobody, but you waited till now to push forward a proposal. Right now, I mean, it's just a lot of people let them down, and my heart goes out to Washington D.C., man, and people that live in Maryland. Absolutely, because that makes the trip for people living in Maryland that much longer. Now, obviously, I'm a Virginia dude. I don't live in Northern Virginia. I actually live closer to West Virginia than I do Northern Virginia right now. But I grew up in Loudoun County, Leesburg, Virginia. Shout out to L Town. It's not a bad move business-wise, man, but it's just the timing is what really question. You know what I mean? The timing of it is like. So maybe this opens up for the Commanders, whole different sport. I mean, I know we'll talk about it, but it's tough, man, because the Washington D.C. loses again, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who really lose, and that's sad, man. It really is. And you can point the finger to many people, but at the end, D.C. loses because that's a lot of revenue that's leaving the city, and that's an identity right there. That's a team that represents D.C. that is not in D.C. anymore. It's gonna be in Virginia, so it's sad. It really is.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, they're saying that the Mystics will be playing in Capital One, but that's just not going to bring. And the seats are not going to be filled at all. That top 400 section is going to be empty. There's going to be some concerts there still, and the Mystics. I'm not sure if Georgetown's still going to play at Capital One, but just having a big vacant building there, just sitting there and nothing going on, is not good for the city. They definitely will be missing out with Caps and Wizards games. It just brings so much revenue, so many people going to restaurants. You just think about the surrounding areas and jobs and just businesses that the Wizards and Caps help, man, just for people coming in there. So it's unfortunate just for the city of D.C. We already see that area gallery place, Chinatown, kind of going downhill. We know the McDonald's was closed. Just, a lot of homeless people out there and different things going on. So it's unfortunate to see two of the big teams for Washington, D.C. to leave that area. Yes, as a business move, it is a smart business move. He's a businessman. He's a billionaire. We know how these owners, make moves and do different things. They're always looking about the money, and that's just how you have to be as a businessman. So I understand him looking into it and just looking at the pictures, the graph you talked about, the drawing and everything, the animation. Like, they definitely have been working on this. They made the move with Qatar. They changed the name to Money Sports. So this definitely was in the works for a while. This is something that Ted really wanted to do. And just listening to the press conference this morning, Ted sounded so excited, man. He sounded super excited. Like, he sounded like it was his holiday for sure, announcing this and having this ready to go. The vision, I see it. I think, and you talked about the 70 acres. I do think that's a good thing to have. It's kind of like how football teams are doing now. You look at Dallas, even though, of course, I hate the Cowboys, but you look at the episode of Hard Knocks where they're flying a drone, and you just see the city and just main attractions, restaurants, hotels, different things, different attractions, movie theaters, all kinds of things on that campus, where that's what Ted wants it to basically look like, where it's 70 acres. You leave the game and you can have fun after the game. You can go here and do this and that, whatever things you want to do. Of course, they're probably going to have a casino in the stadium, sports book, all kinds of stuff. FedEx, they finally got like a Fanatics in there. That's something that people can do. So Ted wants people to do things. And that's the thing with the Commanders and Landover. You just don't have a lot of stuff where you can leave the game and go to. And I think that's something that Ted really wants to happen. And you see it's all on the water. So it's a beautiful scene. It is. It's a beautiful scene. It is further away. It's about 30 minutes further away. It's not super far. It's the northern part of Virginia. So it's not like Dumfries, Virginia or something like that.
Lord.
But it's a lot of factors into it. It's a lot of factors. It is unfortunate just thinking about having a team in DC. You feel like the team that's in DC should be in DC. You just think about the history, going to the games, getting on the metro, going to Gallery Place, Chinatown, or just parking down there, going to the games. People playing music, jazz, go outside. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore in Virginia. We'll see. So that's some of the things. Just that atmosphere being in DC. So it is disappointing to see it, but at the same time, I get the move. And then if you want to get into politics about the mayor not stepping up at the right time, waiting to the last minute, some of the things with the decisions on the city, Ted asking about upgrades and just kind of some more police force down there that was a little neglected here and there. So I'm not going to get too much of the political part about it, but yeah, just as far as DC and everything, man, you want to see your team be where it is. Yeah. And the Commanders are in Maryland now. Both teams, the Wizards and Caps, going to be in Virginia. So it's like the only team in DC really is the Nats, and that's really it.
Yeah,
and one more thing I'll say: the Mystics being in there, they should stay in the stadium that they're at, the one in Southeast, because it just looks silly with all those empty seats. It makes no sense to me to put them back in there. And it's just going to be an echo in there where it's more lively and it's just a better scene for the Mystics to be over there. So a lot of things that, I agree and disagree with in this situation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on all points, man. Absolutely. In my favor, the Mystics being the only team in Cap 1, I just don't think they generate enough to warrant that, man. I think they should stay where they're at right now. It's gonna be interesting what they do with the Capital One Arena. It's really gonna be interesting. Getting back to, does it make it harder for people to get there? It does slightly. Now I know that Gallery Place was very convenient because most of the lines connected right there, so it was perfect. You know what I mean? So how they approach that is gonna be interesting, but people will show up because shout out. I see some comments. Shout out to my man Desan, 757 Bad News, Hampton, Virginia. Got a lot of family down there. People from the area, man. They make that 3-hour drive up here for games, man. Not only Wizards games, but Nats and Commanders. So people will make the drive. Very vibrant fan base down there, but it's just, it's unfortunate for DC. It is because of the money generated. People are already struggling in the city, man, and then you see the fact that more money is going to be lost and jobs lost because, if you're from the city, times are hard right now for everybody. Can you get over there to work? I mean, most of the people who work at Nats Park or FedEx or Cap One, they live in the surrounding area. So it makes it a little bit tougher for them. So it's one of those situations, man, where it's going to be a lot of pro and con regardless. And, from a business standpoint, I get it. It's a wonderful business decision as far as Ted Leon says, but it's going to affect people. And, and this is the thing, man, so it is what it is. We'll see. So, so we can go ahead.
Yeah. Are they going to be called the Virginia Wizards?
No, they'll still be there. They don't even sound right. I mean, some people saying bring the Squires back, the Virginia Squires, but I don't know about that, man. Keep the Wizards, keep Washington, keep it there, man. So I guess we'll slide into the comments, man, before we do. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Dave.com. At one time or another, we all need a little financial help, right? That's why Dave is great. Dave can get you cash when you need a hand between paychecks and help you build credit by selling extra cash advances on time, because finances can be so irritating and intimidating, right? That's why you need Dave. Dave can manage your money so much easier with interest-free extra cash advance, fee-free gold tracking, and easy ways to find a side hustle to make more money. Dave is a banking app that is leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's all part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest and then sell it up later. Download Dave today at dave.com/lockedonnba. That's dave.com/lockedonnba. You get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/lockedonnba for terms and conditions. Go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. So,
yes, sir. All right, let's get to some of these comments here. Of course, some people are a little hostile in here for sure. James Sheet says you can't bet on players on or against the Wiz because there's a good chance they will get subbed out in the fourth due to a blowout. Now, the only thing I'm going to say about this, James, is that if you bet on Ingram, he smashed his over for points. Like in the third quarter, he had 32 points in the third quarter, ended up with 40. If you bet on Trey Murphy, he ended up with 27. So those are the guys, especially looking at Zion being out. It's kind of like who's going to step up when Zion's not out. I think it kind of was self-explanatory there with Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy. McCollum had 22. I didn't look at his over-under before the game started, so I don't know what he was at. But I took Jonas Valanciunas double-double and win for minus 118 for him to be the Wizards and get a double-double. So that was pretty darn simple. So, for other games, that is true. There are some times where there's blowouts and they take him out. Now, even Embiid, he still gets his over on the Wizards, whether it's a blowout or not. He didn't even play the whole fourth quarter, and he still got his over on points. He had, 34 last game? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. Spot on comment. I mean, that usually around 7 minutes left in the fourth, they're going to put in their reserves, man. But I mean, that's going to be the MO all year, man. But yeah, Ingram. I mean, what do they call Ingram? Cage. Kevin Durant light, man. So I mean, he's just his wingspan, man. I've always been a big fan of Brandon Ingram, but it's just. I feel like it's the same script, different game. We say that every game, right? That we know what the issues are. It's just there's nothing we can really do about them. We know rebounding is going to be an issue. Defense is going to be an issue. So it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah. West finally got attacked. He finally stood up for his players. So that was different. He showed some emotion and some fire, some tenacity.
It took 3 years.
Yeah, I know, right? It was too little, too late. Now, it was crazy because the start of the game, the Wizards were up by 10 points in the beginning, but we already know how it is. They can get it by 15, 20, 30 points. It really doesn't matter. They can be up by 20 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They still find a way to lose the game. But I do like the way they started. Denny was aggressive. Kuz was getting to the basket. He was knocking down some threes. I do like the start of the game, but of course they just don't finish the game well at all. And they just lost the lead, and really I want to say right before the half or in the third quarter, and the Pelicans never looked back. DMV for Life says, was at the game live. Noticed 2 things. Jordan Poole's body language is awful. I was surrounded by Pelican fans. Didn't even know they had fans.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be the MO with DC Sports right now, man. I know both of us have been to Wizards games, Commanders games, and usually we're outnumbered. I mean, every time. So, like I said, it is what it is, But, I mean, looking at Poole's body language, that continues to be an issue. His body language, and I'm telling you, it's going to be interesting to see what our relationship is with Jordan Poole going forward as far as organization with him, man, because the body language, the immaturity is just – we got to see more, and we got to see he's got to be better, man. He's got to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just been super inconsistent. Yeah, he made a transition three. Next play, he airballs a 3. So that's just kind of the tail of the tape for his season for sure. He had one really bad pass to Gafford on an entry pass that was a turnover. And then I did see him miss a layup as well, which turned into a dunk by Herbert Jones. He ended up with 4 assists and 5 turnovers. So he did make a nice pass to Gafford as well for a dunk, but ended up with 5 turnovers. So, yeah, he'll have some good games, and then he'll have some stretches of bad games. I know the Monumental broadcast, they were talking about him being the number one option, or he's not the number – Kuz is the number one option, but him being a guy that teams are really, really game planning for, and they've been more physical with him. He's a guy that he's not the most physical guy. He's more of a lean guy. He doesn't really play with a lot of physicality. So that's something that he needs to improve on too. I know he's not going to bulk up and gain like 20 pounds, but he definitely should be ready for physical. Because he was talking about how guys have been chipping him off the screen and bumping him off screens. Like, that's what you got to be ready for, man. If you want to be that number one guy and have that green light that he talked about in the offseason, you got to be ready for people going to defend you tougher because you're not behind Steph, you're not behind Clay, and Wiggins, Draymond, some other guys that got the ball before him as starters. And if you want that green light, he talked about the greenest of green lights, you have to be ready for guys that be more physical and account for you, double team you, bumping you off the screen, chipping you, all kinds of stuff. So boxing ones here and there, you just never know what they're going to throw at you. So he just has to. This is a learning experience for him, and it's been a tough learning curve for him for sure.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Poole is that if you want to be that number one option in the future, man, you've got to learn how to utilize the talent around you, right? You can't be that guy making a play every time down the court. John Wall was a franchise guy because he utilized the guys around him. How many guys got paid because of J-Dub, man? I mean, Otto Porter got a contract because of him. I mean, Bill, he ate. Markieff ate. People ate off it because he utilized his best assets, which was his speed, and use that to collapse defenses and utilize shooters on the outside. Poole has to learn how to utilize the people on the outside. We got some shooters, man. I mean, you got Kispert. I mean, you got guys who can create for themselves. So, I mean, utilize the personnel around you. Don't feel compelled to have to be that guy to do everything every time you have the ball. And that, that's the thing that comes with young players, man. Young players, you came over from Golden State being a very high so heavy guy. So he's got to learn how to utilize the talent around him. And I see, people in the comments.
Diallo, they set screens, man. They've been doing things for him. They've been trying to get him the ball open. He's just been inconsistent. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I commend him for being more serious. At the beginning of the season, it was kind of him just being joking around and Shaq and a fool. But now he's been more serious. But he's still, he's getting some open looks. He's just not knocking them down. So,
I don't know what he's watching, man. I mean,
yeah, they're trying to get him
open. What are you watching, man? Because I mean, nothing we said about Poole is like out of the norm that nobody else sees, man. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the screens; he's not taking things serious, man. I mean, so that's what I'm saying about it. He's got to take things a lot more serious, man.
Yeah, he went out there and missed a layup today. That's not about setting screens; it's about him missing a layup. He airballed a three. There's nothing they can do. It was a wide open shot too. It wasn't a bad shot. He just went out there and airballed a three. So a lot of it is on him too. He just has to play better. Let's see here. Some other comments. A lot of comments in here today. Tony and Mike on Peace Tower were so mad about the move, saying they need to call them the Arlington Wizards. Yeah, I saw that. A lot of fans are upset. And about the thing about Virginia people driving to the games and they have a complaint about it, I do commend people like yourself, Brandon, who have driven the games for Commanders games that are in Maryland, Landover. It's far for you guys. There's a big fan base in Virginia. There's a big fan base for the Caps, not just the Wizards, but for the Caps and obviously the Commanders. The Commanders training camp facility is in Virginia, was in Richmond, and then they moved to Ashburn, and the whole facility. They're moving something down to College Park, Maryland. So teams in the DMV are making a lot of moves. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts. But I do commend Virginia residents for driving to the games. So as a guy from Maryland, I do get the sentiment because I know a lot of Virginia people are like, oh, why are you guys so upset? Because we've been driving down, but everybody, people loved it when the Skins were in RFK. You just had that home feeling, the vibes and the energy. So that's just kind of what people want to have, that homegrown culture feeling, having the stadium in DC, just having it in Virginia. Just kind of feels like there's a distance there. So I kind of get that feeling where people just feel like it's not at home where it's supposed to be. And as far as commuting and driving, if they're winning, people won't care. Yeah, they're gonna make that commute. Yeah. But right now with the team playing like this, people from Maryland and DC, they're probably like, I'm not gonna make that trip over the bridge, even though it's still not as far as your commute, where you've been commuting even when they've been bad, coming to Commanders games. So that's just my point right there. It's a lot to unpack for sure. But if they're winning, then it's not that much of a complaint. If they're gonna play like this, and it's like, then I probably won't get a ticket to a game, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, not much really changes. I mean, you add maybe 30 minutes. I mean, depending on the traffic is nuts. I get it. I take that drive all the daggone time, and then the traffic is crazy. But I mean, it really depends on you. I don't mind. I mean, I drive to Baltimore, I drive to DC all the time to watch games, and I just, I'm a super fan. So it all depends, man. I mean, I don't think the change is that much to really is going to hamper too much. The factors I was looking at was just like employees. Like I said, most of the employees at Nats Park, when I noticed, and I talk to them all the time when I go to games, man, a lot of them are from the area, so it doesn't make it harder for people to work there. It may be harder, so that's one factor I'm looking at. But as far as being a fan, man, it's not going to be too much extra. And then, like you said, people come from the Tidewater area, Hampton, Newport News, Chesapeake, making that drive, man. Appreciate you. Because, I mean, that's a heck of a drive up 95, man. So I made that drive, man. So, it's just one of those things, man. I mean, when we get into the grind of it, it's going to be all right. There's a lot of money to be had, and it's difficult because, in the DMV, you got three different perspectives, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So, not everybody's going to be happy. It's just one of those things where just got to deal with it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was even thinking myself, like when they said the Commanders are going to move or possibly thinking about getting the stadium in Dumfries, I was like, if I go, I'm probably going to have to just take the day off on Monday. I'm not going to work the next day. I may have to, invest in getting a hotel and staying, and then wake up in the morning and leaving because it's just hard. I know you make that drive, but it's hard to just after a game make that 3-hour, 4-hour, 5-hour drive sometimes to go back to where I'm from, like, PG County, kind of Baltimore area. So yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. I don't think the distance isn't as bad as people make it to be. I'll say that. But when people hear Virginia, they just get concerned about that traffic, which is a legitimate concern for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's not gonna be. It's like you said, it is not too much of a change. I mean, you got to deal with that crazy traffic regardless, man. Because the Beltway, no matter if you live in Maryland, Virginia, DC, that Beltway is going to hit you the same, man. So it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. We are going to all the other comments. Do you think there will be a chance we can answer something like that next episode about Wes Unseld Jr. because we're going to do a preview and then just answer some of the comments that we see from here. But yeah, it's tonight. It was really more like talking about the move than the actual game because they got blown out. But we'll probably talk a little bit more about the game with some of these questions that we did not get to go to. Jared Butler, I thought he played pretty well tonight. I thought he had some good moments. Baldwin scored. Let me see how much. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, Baldwin, he did come off the bench. He had 5 points. And when the game was over for the most part. But we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow from the comments that we didn't get a chance to get to, and do a preview for the game for the next game. So we just want to thank you guys for tuning in, listening, making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you guys get podcasts. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.